Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel with me, Matthew Morgan. We are out today in the glorious spring sunshine. We're back at Garlands shooting ground in Staffordshire, which is only a short drive from the Eastfield Gunroom itself. Yes, that means we're doing a shooting review. I recently was quite staggered by the amount of inquiries and people talking about small gauge guns for clay shooting, so I've done a little bit of research on it, and today I've decided to bring a 410 over and under competition shotgun out to put it through its paces. As ever, this video is proudly sponsored by the British Shooting Show, the largest event in the British shooting calendar. If you do like what you see, do hit like, do hit subscribe, because it does make a difference and we do appreciate your support. Right, I've got in my hand, I mentioned it was a small gauge competition gun, or a gun that's kind of geared towards clay shooting. It is actually a Fabarm. It's the second time we've looked at a Fabarm on the channel. But before we get into that, I just want to say this is an actual shooting review. We'll be shooting the actual shotgun.
You're going to shoot the gun today, man?
I'm actually going to shoot the gun today. And before you think everything's all plain sailing at Eastfield Gunroom, check this out. As I took this out of the box, I dropped it and broke the forend. Let's go shoot. So we're all togged up, ready to go shooting. Yes, actual shooting. It's worth mentioning at this point that I've never actually shot a 410 over and under. My only experience with shooting 410s previously was an old Webley bolt actions. This is going to be quite different. Like I said, I've picked this gun because it's very much geared towards competition clay shooting. Here in the UK, we've got the 410 World Championships. It's quite a big deal. Nick Beavis, for one, a massively competitive 410 shooter. Excellent shot with any kind of caliber shotgun. Hopefully he's watching, he'll give me a thumbs up. But this is a Fabarm, it's a 32 inch, which again is quite unusual. A lot of features which we'll talk about at the end. So just for reference, we've got a mixture here of tiny borrower's cartridge, obviously in 410 caliber. We've got some Ely 2.5 inch and some Fiocchi 3 inch. Really don't know what to expect with this gun because, like I said, I've never shot one, but I'm excited to get going. Are you filming that? Right, so first impressions, what a load of fun this is. Noticeably the fact that there isn't any recoil whatsoever. It's literally like pulling the trigger on a pre-charged air rifle. Lots and lots of fun. I think they're 12.5 gram, those little forelongs, but making absolute mincemeat of that little rabbit. So let's shoot something else. Now we're going to shoot a left to right crosser and see how these barrels swing. Obviously with it being 32 inch, it's going to be a completely different sensation to what I'm used to. And this gun only weighs 6.5 pounds. Right, so 1 out of 4 for me on the crosser, not the best score, particularly when I shot the rabbit so nicely. Let's not forget, bit of an excuse here, I am left eye dominant, so I did have my left eye shut, so right to left tend to favour better than left to right. The gun feels really good. Obviously it's very light and it's completely different to what I'm used to because I've never really shot a 410 before, but I would imagine it's probably a pound and a bit heavier than a normal 410 over on something like a Koff or Beretta, something like that. So it has got that nice bit of weight on it, which you can understand why people would go for this barrel length as a sort of competition clay buster in a 410 if such a thing exists. One thing I would add to that, the actual grip of the gun, the stock, it's definitely ergonomically designed for clay shooting. It's got a nice pistol grip, nice palm swell, which is again, where else would you find that on an actual 410 over and under? The forend, practically with a chip in it, it's fitting me really nicely. Right, I've had enough for this one now. This stands kill me and you wonder why I don't do any shooting reviews. Right, let's go and find a nice going away so I can hit that properly. Right, so we're going to finish off this 410 experience with a nice gentle going away bird, little DTL target. Hopefully my success with the rabbit will come back. Pull. Ooh. The magic's back. I never lost it. Shazam. I can do the Shazam, right?
Yeah, you can do that again. Do that again.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it.
The magic's back. I never lost it. Shazam. Oh! Ding! That's the best break all day. 2 more. So that concludes the shooting part of the review. Yes, shooting part. Now I'm going to find a nice quiet spot and tell you a bit more about this little Fabarm. So we've been out and shot and now we're sat down. We're going to tell you a little bit more about this fantastic Fabarm Elos B2. Now, The reason I decided to do this review is, like I said, I've had a number of people talk to me recently, inquiries been made via the website, etc., about small gauges, and they just seem to be extremely popular, which is crazy to me because I would have thought with the whole steel thing going on that the small gauge calibers like 410, like 28 gauge were the ones that were going to suffer in popularity. It's absolutely been the opposite as far as I can see. Here in the UK we have the 410 World Championships, which I think is probably something that nowhere else in the world does. And it just goes to show, not only from a clay shooting point, but also from a game shooting point of view, this is a kind of a caliber that will lend itself to doing all sorts of things. If you want the challenge, if you want those kind of, you want to be the sporting shot, you know, not by using a 12 or by using something different. And of course, on top of that, you can walk around with them and they weigh absolutely nothing. So every time I see a Fabarm, I just get more and more impressed by what they can produce over there in Italy. Obviously, there's tons and tons of Italian manufacturers over there, but I think there's very few that kind of listen to UK shooters, look at what's actually going on in the industry and adapt to that and evolve from that. And this is an example of that. We've got a long barreled, all kind of geared towards competition clays. And we've got 32 inch, like I said. It's also available in 28 and 30 inch. The gun weighs £6 6 ounces. And we've even got a kind of a proper clay rib. It's 8mm parallel. It's got a nice big rib on it, which again, you would want for cooling down, that kind of stuff. It's got a palm swell on the stock. So there's a lot of features on this gun for not masses of money. You're talking less than 2 Freddos and you'll get a few party rings change. You know, it's not big money. And like I said, the reason I chose this is because with it being a proper sort of sporter, if you like, if you look at the majority of 410 guns that are available on the market, they usually got shorter barrels. Silver Pigeon 1s, for example, you can get them in 28 and 30 inch, but it's a game gun, it's got an auto safety, it's a bit light, it's not really what you want. Because if you go back to the example of what I said about Nick Beavis, who's one of the most successful 410 shooters here in the UK, he probably shoots a Browning, I think, day to day. That's going to weigh 8.5 pounds. The last thing he wants is something that's really, really whippy, that doesn't really emulate in any way, shape or form what he's used to in terms of the handling. So the action, straight away you'll notice, is this kind of grey titanium kind of PVD colour. It's got a nice bit of scroll engraving. It's actually of alloy construction, and what they've done, and it's been used by other manufacturers, Beretta Ultralight is the most common one that springs to mind, is able to keep the longevity of that material in terms of the construction of the action, is they put titanium insert inside, which takes all the wear and tear out of the serious parts. Nice bit of scroll engraving. Round body again. You've got to spend a lot of money to get a round body on a shotgun usually. It's not something you commonly get. I think even though it's kind of a clay gun, this kind of scroll work does suit the style of the action. I think if you'd have put a clay on the side or something like that, it just makes it a little bit less universal, because there are people that are going to want a small gauge, long barreled gun like this also for shooting pheasants. On the other side of this rounded action, we've got Elos in black and we've got B2 in orange. I don't know what the B2 signifies. I never saw a B1, but I'm sure you can tell me in the comments below. We've got a matte black trigger guard, 100% made in Italy. That's a nice touch. You know, you do get manufacturers these days that kind of outsource, get different parts from different countries, and obviously they're very proud of their heritage at Fabarm, which is why they've put something like that on the trigger guard. Onto the top lever, quite a nice little design, not dissimilar to the Fabarm we looked at previously, which was the RSQ12RR, and that was also this kind of very ergonomic design, fits nicely behind your thumb, so no problems in terms of the operation of opening and closing the gun. Nice positive safety catch. Again, Fabarm thought everything about this with it being a sporter. It is a manual safety. If it was a game shooting gun, you would also expect it to have an auto. Onto the barrels. Now, the barrels, I've got a matte finish on them, really, really nicely done. File cut top rib. We've got these big vents here also, non-ventilated center rib, big brass silver type bead on the end, and this is multi-choke, as all Fabarms are, so you get a series of chokes to go along with the gun. Not only that, 3-inch chambers, and having shot this, I now understand why you need kind of 3-inch chambers on any kind of small gauge, particularly a 410. Steel shot proof as well, multi-choke, and also I checked this out before I actually did this review, this shooting review. There are lead alternative cartridges available for 410s, and I understand there's going to be even more going forward in the future. So onto the wood, which is something I always like to talk about. We'll start with the 4 in this time. We've got this incredible extra feature, which is where I dropped it, okay, which is the chip. That'll obviously be rectified. We have got a standard push button forend, okay, which is something you don't see on many guns these days. They tend to be more of a lever or a push button on the forend, like Caesar Greeny, which of course own Fabarm. Double point checkering, which on a gun on this price is fantastic. European walnut of a reasonable grade, probably grade 2 or 3. I don't know how Fabarm actually grade their stocks, but more important for me, feels really nice in the hand. You've got the palm swell, 372 millimeters length of pull, which is just over 14 5/8. Only come with the one pad. I would think from a competition point of view or from a clay shooting point of view, they might want to look at another pad just as a kind of a profile system like other manufacturers have got. And also, these are 38-58 mil. Now, that's very low in the comb, doesn't fit me at all. You'll probably see that from the way I shot it in the video. I would be personally at a gun that's marketed for clay shooting, I will be looking to put an adjustable comb on that. But ultimately, there's quite a nice thick comb here, so you could have one fitted retrospectively. So the trigger itself, I really like the shape of it. I like the checkering on it. I like the fact that it's nice and subtle. Actual trigger pulls when I shot it, you couldn't tell you weren't shooting something like a Krieg or a Blaser. Very, very positive, very, very crisp. And that brings me on to the rest of how the gun shot. With this being 32 inch and weighing 6 pounds 6 ounces, I was expecting it to be a little bit barrel heavy because all the weight is at the front end. It is a little bit tippy. I think if I was going to buy one of these, the first thing I would do is get rid of this kind of air cell pad because it weighs about as much as a Quaver, and put a Kickies on the back, and that would probably just bring it back enough somewhere near the hinge pin. Failing that, of course, we can put a little bit of weight in the back of the stock. So what does it come with, I hear you say? Right, so you get a cardboard box because we're talking about something that costs less than 2 Freddos, and as I've said many times before, it's probably going to go in the loft. But inside, we'll be delving here, we have got this genuine cardboard insert made by Cartier, okay, nicely cut out. We've got a book of words, which is a very comprehensive book of words. I do like that. Just looking at it, this is a generic book of words for many, many Fabarm models. So the chances are you might delve in there and find something that's completely useless to you. A bit like buying a new television and discovering a Haynes manual for a motorcycle inside. But it is what it is. Now, one thing I do want to mention is, which is absolutely flabbergasting, is these guns come with a 10-year warranty. If you look at gun manufacturers on offer here in the UK, Brownie, you don't get a 10-year warranty, you get 10 year on the Action, which is a total con. You get 3 years on a Beretta, you have to pay for a 10-year one. Other things like Zolly's 5-year, Resini I think is 5-year. So to offer a 10-year warranty at this price point with this kind of niche offering for people who want a lot of fun in a small gauge clay gun, I think Fabarm got a lot right. Now onto this little choke box. This made me chuckle when I opened this box, because look at the tiny little chokes, okay? They're so small, I could actually fit them up my nose, but I'm not going to do that on the camera. And one thing that's super impressive is throughout my life in the gun trade, every time I've come across a 28 gauge or a 410, usually with a multi-choke system, they're usually accompanied by a crappy flat piece of metal. This is an actual choke key with actual knobbly bits in it and an actual sliding bar. That is sensational, and probably my favourite bit of the actual box. On top of that, we have got some Allen keys. I'm not actually sure what these are for. I think it's obviously for something to do with the fore end. I haven't looked into this, but there are some Allen keys. So if you haven't got any, then it's a win-win. So that is everything to do with the gun itself, but my overriding feeling having shot it with these, I had a few, not many, I couldn't get many of these, 3-inch Fiokkis and of course the 2.5-inch traditional Ely 4-long that a gentleman might have shot years ago, it's just an awful lot of fun. If you haven't got a 410 of any kind and you do want to go in the 410 World Championships, or you just want to add that really diverse element of competition between you and your mates. I can remember years ago there was a group of gentlemen from over in Lincolnshire somewhere, and they would only shoot 410s and 28s, whether it was at game or at clays. It is a lot of fun, it is challenging. You know, you've got to remember that particularly with these little things, they're like 12.5 gram, that's not a lot of lead. I mean, I have shot exceptionally well because I've been shooting those cartridges today, and that's it. I've never shot a 410 over under, so it's been a first for me. Obviously it's a shooting review. We haven't all got a shooting ground in our back garden, people, so you know, we have to come out to them now and again to try and pull the trigger. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below. Have you got a 410? Have you been looking at buying a 410? Have you had a 410 in the cabinet for years but never shot it, and I've rekindled your passion for wanting to pull the trigger on that particular gun? Once again, this video is brought to you, it's proudly sponsored by the British Shooting Show. Don't forget to get that in your diary for next year. Big thank you to the guys at Garlands once again for letting us come down here and use the facility. It was a fantastic day, as we always do. If you haven't been, do come along. There's lots of stuff here, rifle ranges, DTL, ABT, skeet, some legendary sporting. I can recommend it wholeheartedly. If you've got any questions about this particular gun, please do contact me directly. Details are on the screen. They are in very short supply this year, so if you do want to get your hands on one, and to be fair, I'm quite tempted myself, do contact me, I can help you with that. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because you want to see more of me missing clays in the future. This is the only place to come. From me, Matthew Morgan at Eastfield Gunroom. I'll see you next time.